Hi, this is PD at BurgZerg Arcade at BurgZergArcade.com, and this is tutorial 194. Now, in our last tutorial we had left off, we had started saving off our, let me just open these, our new game settings in Game Settings 2, and we're just going to go along and continue on with the next ones. So we've got, well, nothing in our constructor yet. We can delete it later if we don't need it. So we've got the save the hair color and the load the hair color, so let's start doing the saving of the mesh. The hair mesh, the loading of the hair mesh, and we'll do the hair mesh and color combination here. So let's go back into player model customization, and we can just say game settings 2 dot save hair mesh, and then just get the hair mesh index. That's our hair, and I probably called it hair style. Let me just check. I really should rename these to indexes. Selected hair mesh is what I called it. I'm actually just going to go ahead and rename these. So selected hair color. I'm going to refactor it to be hair color index, and selected hair mesh, I'll rename that to hair mesh index. There we go. So now I don't have to keep looking them up and figuring out what they are. I'll save that off. I'm going to come back into here. That means I'll have to rename these. We'll start here. It actually changed these here for me already, so that's great. So hair mesh index. And I'm also going to want to debug log out a different function here. I'm going to want the load hair mesh, and let me see, I forgot my semicolon here. I should take care of that error. We'll save that off. We'll head back into our game settings. I'll look up to the top, and we can actually just cut and paste these in. So save hair mesh, and instead of using hair color, I'm going to be using a different constant. So I'll make another constant, another string, and I'll call this one hair mesh. And well, I'll make it a string of hair mesh. Oops, I didn't want capitals, so. And I'll just cut and paste this in down here. Save the hair mesh. And then we'll grab the load. We'll put that down here. And change this to, if I spell it right, hair mesh. And we'll have a default of 0 in case something wasn't saved or it couldn't find it. And that should be okay. Let me go run it. We'll see if there's any errors. There's one. What was here? No overload method takes. Okay, so let's go look at our load hair mesh. And it's right down here. This shouldn't actually have an index. We don't have to pass anything in there. Okay, so let's save that off. We'll come back in. It's gone. I'm just going to clear it. Let's just run. We'll make sure that our hair is changing, and it is. Make sure the colors are changing because we did change the indexes. I'm actually going to unmaximize it on play. And let's move in a few meshes. And we'll hit the save button. So the save value was 3. The save value is 4. I thought I had it loading up. I probably forgot to copy the debug log statement in the game settings. And I thought I had one here. I might have deleted it. Oh, that's actually over here. So the save value is 4. Okay, so it's because I have this commented. I can't see what's being saved and loaded. Yeah, that is right, but just for completeness, we'll take a look. So we'll move a couple in. We'll hit next, and we'll see that it's saving the hair color 0. I haven't actually fixed the where the debug log statement is. So I'm going to have to copy this, comment it out, move it down here, and instead of being hair color, it's hair mesh. And we'll come back in. I'm just going to hit clear. We'll start it up and hit save after I cleared, so we only have our debug stuff there. So it's saving 0 and it's loading 0. And if we move along, hit clear again, just so we know all the outputs from our debug. So all that's working. Great. Let's go in and do the double here. So the saving of the hair, and I did not do the loading of the hair. I didn't want to get into passing an array back. But this is actually pretty simple. We can just cut and paste what we have already. So I'm going to comment this out. Actually, we don't even have to put anything there. Since we already have the functions up here, we can just pass the references along. So I'm going to say save hair color, and I'm going to pass in the color that we receive from this variable here. And I'm also going to call save hair mesh, and then just pass in the mesh. Since we already have the functionality already built into these two functions, we might as well use them. Well, we'll just uncomment both of these. And we actually already know they work, the functionality up here. We just have to make sure that they're both being called. So we'll clear it, we'll start it up. I'm going to have to clear it again because when it starts up it tells me this stuff. And let's move in a few. Let's switch over to gray hair. We'll zoom in on our guy a little bit. There we go. Just so we can actually see the modifications being made. And let's clear it. And there we go. Hair color, hair mesh, and the saved value, well, we actually only have it loading up the stop this. We don't actually have a load function for it, so this actually doesn't have to be called. And remember that this is just purely for debugging purposes. So once we're done and we're satisfied that everything's working right, we can just delete it. And we're never actually calling that function, so let's do that now. So game settings 2 dot save hair, and then we're going to be passing in the index of the mesh. So hair dot hair mesh index, comma, and then we want the color. So hair dot hair color index, and we'll comment these two out because, well, we can actually just delete them because we don't need them now because we can call both through here. Now the reason why I made this combo one is it can be a little bit easier. You only have to do one line to actually save both values, and the reason why I have the actual ability to save them separate is later on you might have some sort of quest that allows you to change your hair color or something along that lines, and you might not want to save both, just save one. But let's head back in and we'll just make sure that that function's working. So we'll start it up, hit clear, and when we hit next we should have two saved lines, hair color and the mesh. So let's move in a bit. Actually, let's go backwards and let's go with red hair, and when we hit next, there we go. So we'll stop that. Now once we have all of our values saved, we're actually going to want to call some sort of application.loadLevel to go to the next level. Before we do that, I actually want to sit down and get the rest of the settings done. And it looks like the next few that I actually have put in deal with our character generation scene. So that'll be the scene where we actually put the values in for our character. So we're going to go to that one next and implement this new game settings 2 class into that scene. And we'll finish doing all of the save ones before we start playing around with making sure everything's loading up properly in our game. But that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.